Hey, it's your buddy Big Ed. So, modular. Modular? Why? Because I'm insane. Yeah. But listen, so I got a little bored with, not bored, but I think I've reached my limit as far as creativity with some of the pedals that I've been using, or I'm frustrated with the limitations of some of the pedals that are on the market. There are some awesomely creative ones like, my buddy David Rollo and Chase Bliss and Cooper Effects, etc., etc., etc. But I'd have to string so many of them together that it's just not practical anymore, because there's things that I want to do that I know can be done that I'm not achieving, right? And so I figured, okay, well, what's the best way to achieve this? So I did months and months of research and came to the conclusion that modular was the way to go. Why? Well, let's take my buddy Loki at Poly Effects, for example. Bloody genius, love my digit, but I would have to buy at least 4 digits, right? Program them, maybe make at least one a Bebo, flip it over to a Bebo, and then have that on a board, plus other things, which, because I travel so much, like I'm going to be living, and I have been living in England and Norway part-time, if you've gone through airports and everything, they already inspect all my crap a million times, but to have like 4 digits, so that would be like $1,600, which is, at $400, it's super affordable. But that's $1,600 for 4 of them, be $1,200 for 3. And then a bunch of other pedals. So you're talking about scale at that point, the size of your pedal board. It becomes unmanageable. So I got into looking at this. Now we're doing a little 3-camera shoot today, which I'm not super confident about because my video skills are not what the big boys are, because I spend all my money making music, but we'll do the best we can. We'll be switching back in front of those cameras to show you what I'm doing. Here you'll see I've got an IntelliGel palette, which is they go by HPs. It's a 62 HP, roughly 13 by 8 enclosure. I've also got the Pittsburgh Modular patch box, which is about 2/3 the size of this. I'm going to be using that as a sidecar. I was lucky to find one used for a very, very reasonable, like I think the original retail price on Reverb. So I snatched it right away. I didn't even make an offer because they don't come up that often. But that'll be my sidecar for when I'm home in the studio, just so I can have extra modules to do other interesting things that are mostly studio things. And I will talk about that at one point. But this is going to be sort of the main board. It won't be the only board. I will be using some pedals. I'll try to get through this talking part fast, though, not to bore you. I will be using some pedals, mostly for overdrive, gain, compression. I'll have a blooper on there. Why the blooper? Well, if I have it at the end of a very, very small board, I'm going to use a Nano Plus. So I'm going to have a Una, which is like a buffer preamp, a mini delay, because I like a little slap back going into my dirt, a dirt pedal, a compressor, octave pedal, because sometimes you want the octave before the blooper rather than after, so you can have something blooping and then switch on and off to octave, so then octave and then blooper. Now, why the blooper? Well, because I can record little bits or longer bits, mangle them up, twist them, do weird crap with it, and then send it into this unit. That can go on an airplane easy. It can also the little pedal board can go in my luggage and I don't have to worry about that too much. This I will carry with me in my backpack. So it's very small, as you can see. It's nice and tidy. I've already put 2 modules in it because there's a bar that goes across. You can see it down here in the other cameras. I'll try to refer to those cameras from now on. So the great thing about the pallet is you have 1 rack unit modules, like a regular 1 rack unit size little modules, like this one, the line out, so I can have a guitar out to my amp with an attenuator because the signal is going to be hotter, right? Because it's line level. And then I also have like a little line in with the guitar signal in from my pedals. Now, with modular, you'll find a lot of things you want are not going to be in stock. That's okay. Just wait. They'll be in stock in a couple of weeks. So other than the line in and line out, I have a bunch of stuff that, in between these two that are not in stock right now. I have ordered them. They're like MIDI and routing things that could be cool. The rest of it, once this bar is back in, which I will show you, and believe me, I'll speed this up because once I start putting these, I'm not going to have you watch me put all these stupid modules in. But so I will talk about the modules a little bit. So one thing that I got that is super cool is these. So before I get to this, I did, like I said, I watched months and months and months of multiple demos and really fine-tuning what I wanted. What I wanted was a sound manipulator. I wanted modulation. I wanted programming. I wanted a percussion module to have pulses, not necessarily drums, but pulses. So I've got that. And I wanted a multi-effects module for reverb and such. So and then one of the coolest things, I'll show this to all the cameras. These things are called knurlies. They're just little twists, highly recommended unless you want to screw in each thing. But these are little twisty things that twist in all the modules into the rack. Highly recommended. So let's go over the modules real quick, and then I'll put them in and do a speed up, fast frame thing. There's the FX Aid XL. That's got, delay, chorus, reverb, a whole bunch of effects, but I'm going to be using it for reverb. It's got a really nice reverb in it. Not like a super crazy one, because I won't need that at this stage, because one of the other modules that's in here that you'll see in a second has reverb as well, but it's a granular sampler sort of thing. So to have that reverb, which is like a textural one, and then this one, which is like a really nice sounding space clean one, be cool. So the FX Aid, the Noise Engineering Bacillimus Iteratas Alter, that's the percussion one. And then I opted for the IntelliGel Quad VCA. And then I opted for, everyone recommends the Pamela's Workout. Pamela's working it out, man. Really great for programming, all kinds of stuff. Again, there's people that know more about this than me. Just go to this kid, Andrew Huang's YouTube to have your mind blown how deep you can get into this. He's really good. But I wanted to show you my journey, why the choices I made, and what for. Do you dig? So anyway, and we'll put this all together. The endorphins, Squawk Dirty to Me filter. I wanted a filter. Had to have a nice sounding filter. So I listened to tons of videos, watched tons of videos to decide on that. And then last, but certainly not least, because it's the centerpiece of the whole thing, is the Instruo Arbhar. I'll show it to the other cameras. What the Instruo Arbhar does is a lot of stuff. It does a lot of stuff. It's a granular sampler, mind bender, twister thingy. Basically, that's the technical term. It's a thingy. And it's awesome. So that's the main thing of the whole brains of this, and everything else is kind of after that. You dig? So again, I'm going to put this together. I have to. So one of the keys that you'll learn, so you can go down a very huge, rabbit hole with all this stuff. Do not do that. If you're going to do this, do what I did. Do your research. I have quite a few friends into modular. I bugged the living crap out of them. Do that if you know people. But do your research. Take your time. This is not something to rush into because it can get very expensive, and I understand that people get carried away. I am going to limit this, famous last words, to the IntelliGel Palette and the Pittsburgh modular patch box as the sidecar. That has its own power supply, like this has its own power supply. So, you could just route from one to the other. But, a little 13 by 8 unit like this that I can take on the road with a little pedal board that's just dirt is very handy, especially since I play lap steel, which is in front of me, and I'm playing sitting down. Now, why is that important? Well, like a keyboard player who would sit down, then you can have something off to your right or left. And what my friends who play guitar do is they have a chair off in front of them. So they have their pedal board on the floor, and this is who play regular guitar like me, but in this case, this is for my lap steel setup. And they have a chair, and they just tilt their modular on the chair so they can play, and then go over and, tangibly have some tactile control of what's going on. And that's very attractive to me because often when I play and I'm doing prepared guitar, I'll have stuff to my right or left. So to have a chair there with this palette, right? And to be able to have tactile control of what's going on. And that's where the blooper comes in handy, because I can just sample something, run it, get my tactic control, play it, twist it, route it, go back, play a little more, get rid of the loop on the blooper, play a little more, sample a little more, go back in, add it, add the drum module into it, start running VCAs and other wacky modulations and things, and get that going, get rid of the blooper, play a little more, add a little bit more. You see what I mean? It's just, for me, that works. It's not going to be for everybody, and do not go down the rabbit hole of spending a shit ton of money. What I would do is set a budget. It's great when you have a wife who tells you what that budget is. But set a budget and do not bust that budget. So what did I get for my budget? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to be able, including the one rack unit, to get like 10 modules in this one thing. 6 of which are really crucial on the bottom row that are very complicated, right? That have a lot of horsepower. Speaking of horsepower, that's the other thing about modular versus pedals or having 4 digits and a Bebo or something, DSP, right? So if you string a bunch of modules together in a pedal that's based on modular, you're going to run up against DSP limits fast, which is why you need 3 or 4 of them, right? And then you need more stuff, pedals. What about your dirt and blah, blah, blah. So that's where this is great because you're not really hitting that DSP wall. Okay, so that's what went behind my thinking of this. I'm gonna put it together and I'm gonna show it to you, and then we're gonna play it and give you a little example of that. All right? All right. Hey, what's going on, gang? All right, so I put it together. You'll see it here on the other two cameras. It works. How did I do that? Well, it's actually quite simple. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but one caveat I want to say up front. If you get into modular, and I'm not saying get into modular, I'm just showing you my little journey, okay? Don't go broke. Don't blame me. But if you do, read all the manuals of the stuff carefully. Read the manual of your case. Like the pallet, unlike other just stock cases with a power supply, has I/O, ins and outs. It has splitters, so to speak, and other features. So you have to read it. Most importantly, you have to make sure that if they're minus 12 volt modules like most are, that you connect them properly. The red stripe has to be put in precisely the spot marked for it. If you reverse it, you can blow shit up, you know, in layman's terms. So it's not that hard. Most of the modules, it only fits into the module a certain way, and they're almost always marked. The palette, for instance, just had a little white line, and then you read the manual and it says that little white line, that's where you put the 12 volt red stripe of the cable. So that aside, it wasn't too hard. I had the knurlies to screw it in. I found out today that the missing modules at the top here of the one RU, the one rack unit, top part of this pallet were shipped today. So I'll have to take this apart to put them in, but that's all right. Main thing was getting a guitar 1/4 inch in. The out is this that goes to the modules, you know, an 1/8 inch 35 millimeter cable. And the in, so you go in 1/4 inch out to the modules with the 1/8 inch plug, 35 millimeter. And same thing, I had to have an out so that I can go back out to the amp. And it bloody works. Point number 2, it's freaking amazing. How did I not get here sooner? Okay, I'm a mad scientist. I'm the Mad King. I'm Mad King Edmund. I get it. So I should have been here sooner. Why? Okay, it took maybe an hour, maybe less than an hour to put it all together because, you know, I got big hands and reaching in there. It took 5 freaking minutes to come up with what I consider to be a ridiculous, filtered, LFO'd, clocked reverb sound with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cables. I mean, yeah. So I don't know if you'll be able to hear this in the camera video, but yeah, so here we go. I mean, you're probably not going to be able to pick that up because the camera mics aren't great, but I'll try to turn it up in post. I mean, let's see. I don't know. It's pretty glorious. And there are more expensive reverb modules than this. This one's considered a good one. But it's what you can do with it, right? It's the VCA and the LFO and and cross-pollination of things. It took me 5 minutes. I mean, this is gorgeous. Maybe at some point in the future, the Arbhar, the Insuo Arbhar we'll get into. The only reason I won't do it now is because it's pretty deep and I'm not fluent in it yet. I've watched a ton of videos. I know what it does. I know how to do it. But it would take 10, 15 minutes just for you to absorb how I would morph several pieces of a part that I would record. And there's tons of videos out there. But I will do something in the future where I'm playing and you'll get to hear an actual piece that I'm recording using this. I'll throw some cameras on here. I'll do the thing. I'll do the do. And you'll get to hear it. I haven't even tapped into the drum module yet because I was just trying to get into the Arbhar first and then go to the filter and the reverb and then get a VCA and Pamela's workout doing some clocking and modulating divisions. And that's what I came up. I mean, I'm freaked out. I'm freaked out how good this sounds. It's a beautiful tail. It's rich and textured. Of course, we've got modulating going on and filtering. I like filtered reverbs. I will tell you this, obviously a Night Sky is cheaper, but I own a Night Sky and I love it. I got 90% of my sound in the Night Sky that took me like hours, because just nothing against the Night Sky. I love it, but I got my sound with this in 5 minutes and I can still go further. And I've got all these other things. And like I intimated earlier, I've got a Pittsburgh Modular sidecar that's about 2/3 the size of this. And that'll be a little sidecar that I can patch, like I did here. I can patch to things and affect them and start making things happen more, give them some other flavors. I chose modules that were complementary. But yeah, so I'm going for a textured, I wouldn't call it ambient. I hate that word. I don't hate it as much as shimmer. But, a textured oral landscape kind of thing with some movement, but some width, height, and depth, and richness, and the lap steel lends itself to that. So I'm super happy. I think it's a great investment for me. Again, don't go crazy if you do this. Set a budget and stick to it. But man, this is fun. And honestly, I put it together. And like I said, worked on it for 5 minutes and came up with a ridiculous sound. I am so pleased, and I'm no electronic genius. So don't be intimidated. But again, set a budget if you're going to do this, and don't go cuckoo. Do your research. I'm very happy with the modules I've chosen. I'm also super duper happy. Now that I've got this working, I know that the modules I've purchased for the sidecar, which 2 of the 4 are here, but the other 2 are in back order. That's the world of modular for you. But usually within a few weeks, things move, they say, and it sure seemed to be that way for me. So I'm positive now that I've made complimentary purchases, and that's really cool. One of the good things about Perfect Circuit or Detroit Modular, who I favor because they're the coolest dudes in the world. You can call them up, talk to them. if you don't buy something, it doesn't matter. They're not trying to sell you something. They actually give you good advice. But if you buy something, you got like, I don't know, I think 30 days to return it. Anyway, they have a return policy. So if you do buy something, you don't dig it, send it back. Don't keep it and waste money. But if you do your research first, again, I'm no genius and I figured it out. And I'm pretty happy that these modules are the right ones. So the homework paid off for once, like I ever did homework. Really. So yeah, so there it is. All right, enough jibba jabba. I just wanted to show you this, get some multiple cameras, which seem to be working for a change. We'll see if I can line them up and make this work for you. And I hope you get something out of it. I'm going to dig in deeper. Like I said, I'll put up some more videos later, but Andrew Wong has great stuff. He's got like 2 million subscribers, so obviously he's great. And Ben Jordan does some great stuff on Modular. There's a bunch of other people. Modular Monthly, Modular Monthly does amazing tutorials that I like 10, 15 minutes that you're on it. That was very helpful. And of course, the guys at Perfect Circuit, Wes at Perfect Circuit, and Nels, a proper Scandinavian at Detroit Modular. Anyway, thanks for watching. Yes, if you have any questions, ask. Believe me, I'm as shocked as anybody that I put this together and it works and it's all cool. And next time, when you know what, I will do a short video where we got the cameras and the sound is going straight into Pro Tools. It's just late at night after a long day in the studio and I already shut down Pro Tools, but I will do that so you can hear how cool. We'll start out with that reverb, and then maybe I'll start patching some other things in and we'll check that out too. All right. Thanks for watching. Be careful. All right.